Welcome back to Abled and Disabled. Today we are actually going to film 2 episodes. The first one is with Ellen and her mom, Maria, about her disability, Charge syndrome. What exactly is Charge syndrome?
It is a very complex disability that involves nearly every part of the body, even the brain most of the time. Like, it can involve, for me, it involves my hormones, my eyes. I'm legally blind. I cannot really see much. I can see, but if I want to read Seb's eye gaze, I get up so close that I actually think I make a start typing. Do I?
Yeah. Yes. Go on with the rest of it.
And also my ears. I do wear superpower bars, like super duper power. Some people have heart problems. I don't have that. I'm very lucky I didn't get that. I did have a murmur when I was little, I think, didn't I, Mum?
Yeah, you did.
And I still have is that a mild murmur I've still got?
Yes.
Yeah, I've still got a very mild murmur, but not, you hardly know it's there. I've also got, sometimes they talk about like atresia of the esophagus or the nose. I don't have that, but in my sign I did for the Mardi Gras, I did kind of put my tube feed in there because when you think about the atresia of the esophagus, even though I don't have that, it kind of could go in there because the A, like, it's got to go somewhere. So I was thinking, A, esophagus, and the gut, and the bowel is all connected, like even people.
Yeah.
So I have had a lot of dilatation because of my reflux, but I never had atresia, which is reflux dilatation. And
you have gastroparesis, which is your worst disability.
Yeah, I have gastroparesis, and that's probably the worst bit. I've had so many operations in my life. Also, my cranial nerves are affected. So, we know my vagal nerve is affected, and we believe that maybe the nerves between the gut and the brain are affected. Like,
the vagal nerve.
Yeah, those. No, not the vagal ones, the other ones. The ones that are just in your gut.
Okay.
I've read about it, I've heard of it. I don't
Good,
know.
okay.
And so my gut basically does not work, and they've moved 2/3 of it. I'm fed into almost my small bowel. And I've also got, I get lots of constipation, lots of pain. I had a hernia surgery about 2.5 years ago, I think it was. And I have spent lots and lots and lots of years in hospital. I've also spent lots of time in the doctors or in tests and out of tests. I've also got no ovaries, or very, 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 very tiny ones. And I've had to have growth hormones and lots of other things to just help move things along, which didn't really work because of my tummy, so we just sort of I think they just sort of said, well, you don't really need that if you don't want that, so we left that. But that means that I'm also asexual in one. So I love my friends, but I never want a relationship because I've never had those cravings. If I did tell a doctor the other day that if she was a male when I kept up with my tube, she could get kicked in the penis. But that's not in a bad way. That's just you're hurting me and my knee's gonna come up and my foot will kick you there. And I think she was like, well, I'm having another male then. And I think have been known to grab a few people by the bosoms when they've been trying to get me a sleep. Oh yeah, I'll probably grab you by the bosom when I do your cousin. Or something, yeah?
Okay, I think that's a good description of your disability, Ellen.
Yeah.
How does it occur?
It's a genetic. It can be a genetic deletion on the THG7.
It's a micro deletion on CHD. Yeah, on CHD7.
But it can also, like, it's not hereditary, and it can also be, like, if you have kids, that can be passed on, but it's not always. But I think, I actually thinking our family did a bit of a funny, I don't know that you would say charge, but it's interesting because I was born with charge, Dad had an autoimmune disorder, and my brother had diabetes. So I sometimes feel like that there was something in the water, but I don't know what it was.
Maybe, but they don't say. Ellen's dad was a Vietnam veteran and he was exposed to Agent Orange, and there is questions about that.
But no one really knows.
No one really knows, no. Oh, don't do that.
This one's for you, Laria.
Yep.
How did you find out and how did you feel when you found out?
Well, Ellen was born with a cleft lip and palate, and at first that's all everybody thought she had, until it became clear that there was something else wrong, but they didn't know what. So she went from King George V Hospital, where she was born, to Camperdown Children's Hospital, to the intensive care unit there. And over the next series of months, we just kept getting more and more terrible news. Like, oh, her brain is affected, and this is affected, and that's affected, and she's profoundly deaf, and she's blind, and the suggestion was made that we should put her in a children's home, which her dad and I both laughed off, and I mean, really, but they did. 38 years ago, still thought it was quite acceptable to put children like Ellen into a home and forget about her because she wasn't going to live anyway. And then when she was about 2.5, we received a formal diagnosis of Charge syndrome, which had only just been identified as a thing. And Ellen was probably only about the third person in Australia who was identified with it. There was another little girl called Julia who was the first in Australia to be identified with it, and then Ellen was the second or third to be identified with it. And the prognosis was very grim. We were told that she probably wouldn't make 3, and then we were told, oh no, she wouldn't make 5. Then we were told she wouldn't make 10. And when she was about 5 months old, I read her notes at the end of her hospital bed, which said blind, deaf, mentally retarded. And I lost my shit and said, how on earth do you know someone's mentally retarded when they're 5 months old? Hello? That does not make sense to me. And we took the view, we were relieved when we found out, and we took the view that Ellen was just as entitled to care and attention as her older brother was, and we'd give her the same level of care and attention as he got. It's turned out to be a bit more one way and another because of her needs, but we just thought, well, just because she's a bit different doesn't mean to say she isn't entitled to the same care as everybody else. And that's the way we did it. And the doctors were initially very unsupportive, and were convinced that nothing would go right. But fortunately for us, we had a group of doctors who were prepared to admit they were wrong, and they were prepared to learn from our experience with Ellen. They learned from that, and a couple of doctors have said to us over the years that how glad they were to have Ellen as a patient, because they learnt an awful lot about what people can do, even when they're not expected to. So we just went into fighting mode and have been in fighting mode ever since. I'll stop burping.
Can you both talk about the challenges that Ellen has faced?
Well, I'll go first if you like, Ellen. Ellen has faced challenges that most of us would not, you guys accepted, would not be able to comprehend, because she has spent most of her life in excruciating pain, unable to do things simple things that we all take for granted, like eat an ice cream or a normal meal. She endured years of having implanted central lines and constant infections, and people looking down on her and thinking that she was mentally retarded because she was a bit different. And she's faced an enormous number of challenges incredibly well, because she's a very positive, glass half full person, and she doesn't look at the negatives, she always looks at the positives in a situation. And that really, Ellen has done as well as she has because she's Ellen. She's highly intelligent and she's very positive, even though she has her moments, but we all have our moments. And I think she's faced more challenges than most people in her first 10 years than most people would find in a lifetime. So, yeah, that's what I think. And what do you think, Ellen?
I think all my hospital time were definitely challenging, and definitely times when I've had to miss out on what school because I was in hospital. The good thing I don't remember much in Camperdown, but I remember in Randwick, I was able to go to the hospital for there. So that was really good, because at Randwick, I had a vision teacher and a hearing teacher, and the hearing teacher actually, her head office I think was right near the hospital, about 10 or 20 minutes away, and she often had schools near Balmain, and what she would do is she would pop in to the Balmain and say, go up to the main school and say, okay, anything I need to bring over. And then when she was on her way to her office, sometimes she would just come in and see me in the hospital and give me that work. And then the vision teacher might come and take it back, because she had someone else in the unit. So she'd come and take it back and just take it up or give it to someone in the unit to take up to the main school. And that was, I reckon that was definitely easier, because that, meant I was able to keep up a bit better. But it was definitely harder, and I remember also it was also hard, just, like, most of my friends when I was little were older than me or younger than me. So most of the people I was in hospital with were, like, say, sometimes 5 years younger. No, you're 6 years younger. No, more younger than you are.
It was the age difference at the time, because when you were 14.
Yeah. But like, they were so, like, and some of them also, a lot of people I was in with would die. They had CF, or they had, mostly them, they would die. And then the ones with the eating disorders, some of them, like, I used to be a bit silly, and I used to divide it in my head on the wall. I would put it as can't and won't eat. So me and all the CF people were the calm, and the other people were the ones, and they were all good people. They just had a mental problem, what meant they wouldn't. But putting them in with people like me was hard sometimes, because I would see them not eating, and I would go, I wish I could eat that. And so like now, I could probably tell one of them who I still talk to all the time, and she's much better now and she's a nurse and everything. I could probably tell her that, and she'll probably laugh and say, I wish she could eat that too. But back then, I don't know that she would have laughed at that.
No, not while she was sick, she wouldn't have.
No.
So,
But yeah, I reckon that's probably most of it.
How rare is it?
Right?
How rare is it?
how rare is it? It is quite rare. It's about, I think, about 1 in 200,000 or 300,000 births. But what they are discovering is that a lot of children may actually be born with it and die within the first few hours. So it might be more than that, because one of the big things with charge is choanal atresia, which is no nasal passages and sometimes no passage at the back of your throat. And if you're in a third world country and you're born like that, you're not going to survive you might go for a little bit after birth, but you're not going to go for long. So they're not 100% sure how rare it is, but certainly you'd still call it a fairly rare disorder.
There's 5 tips you will give a new family.
Connect with other people in your situation, even if it doesn't have to be the same disability, but meeting people, that's my main tip actually. Meet up with other people with disabled children ASAP, and educate yourself as much as you possibly can about it. They're my tips. Simple, I don't have 5 tips.
And join Facebook groups
Or join, yes, it's connect with other people with disabilities, and it doesn't have to be Charge syndrome, or it doesn't have to be cerebral palsy, or it doesn't have to be cystic fibrosis. Because we all face the same families with people with special needs or different needs, all face the same sorts of issues, and you need to know those people, because together you can make things much easier for yourselves. The burping queen.
From knowing you from school, I think you have done amazing. You are very strong. I mean, you are almost 40 years old. That is amazing for people with Charge syndrome. The last question we have is, how are you so strong through it all?
I don't know, I often think there's someone that could have it worse than I do, and there's someone that could, there's people out there that might not even be around anymore, and I'm still here. Sometimes I wish I wasn't still here, because I wish I could change something, but that's not often. But I know I think most of the time I just keep going, and I talk to people, to my friends, and they always help me. I love talking to Debbie all the time. And I talk to all my other good friends, and I also like to I talk to Mum and the family, and I also have things like neurofeedback, which helps my anxiety a bit, and I have lots of other different things, and I like to read, I like to do knitting, I love swimming, or just going anywhere by the water, and I love my iPad and my computer and my Facebook. Mostly, I think I just keep going and keep trying to do things.
Yep. You keep occupied. That's important. Yeah.
Thank you to both of you for sharing your experiences with Charge Syndrome. Like, comment, and subscribe. We will see you next week to find out how stubborn I was and still am from my mum, with Ellen's mum. Also probably find out how stubborn she was and still is when we do the raising children with disabilities with them. Stay pink and yellow.
Oh.